So, boiling stuff down to the bottom of the pan, I observe this above everything else. In a person's attempt to find meaning, which seems to be very important to most of us, we try to identify ourselves as good. We do good things, we know good people, belong to organizations of goodness, and generally aspire to goodness. Selfishness needn't be denied. In this case, we have learnt in society and in school that good things come to the good, and we like good things. Four-letter word, good. I'm not sure what it means. I am not sure if it is axiomatic or reflexive or inevitable, therefore, that we must identify the opposite of the good, just so we know that what we are doing is good. It must be, because it's not bad. And I wonder, must this happen? I think it is a deal we make with each other because our impulses are often not good. What we have been told since forever, for instance, is that sexuality's various varieties need constraint. So, in most traditions, our own deepest drives might be not good. We have an enemy within. This is strange behavior to me, but it is abundant and across many belief systems. I'll not respect it so much as accept it, and I respect the persons who hold those beliefs. I accept the beliefs. It has made burning victims of too many for my taste. I had a lover once who was religious, and she said God must approve of her love of sex, otherwise it wouldn't feel so good. Boom, perfect. She was that quiet revolutionary. She did not insist, however, within marriage. Within love, I believe, is what she said. That's how she behaved. Might it be possible to believe that all people, all essence is good, essentially, or that we all have in all of us a yin and yang, fire and ice, inner, outer, darkness, light, above, below, consciousness, unconscious, wild, civilized? I sincerely don't know, but that an excess of either an imbalance might be the stand-in for evil. It seems to me in the monotheist world, at its most severe and censorious, that eventually the psyche rebels and something really horrible happens. Evidence everywhere. The evil within, which I will call darkness because it is unlit, unlooked at, issues forth, breaks a dam, and monotheism writes Deuteronomy. The beast within sees the one over there in the other tribe, evidence of his evil, idol worship. Is it learnt? Are we the sort of blob-like thing tending uncivilized, our natures naturally sinful, the good life to be found like heaven by resisting temptation, disciplining the libido, the sensuality, the lower chakras, the animal side, the Mr. Hyde of ourselves, in fact, ourselves? It seems to be what we have decided is true. I don't have zero understanding of this. I have read most of the important things on this stuff, on this idea. There's a lot of material, but the gist is very available in a few concentrated sources. And as I look at it, well, I don't study it. I look at it as it passes through me, and me I do study. And I ask you this, quote, when we see somebody who doesn't look like us or sound like us or love like us, who doesn't act like us or live like us, the first thought that crosses anyone's mind, is rooted in either fear or judgment or both. That's evolution. We survived as a species by being suspicious of what we are unfamiliar with. Empathy, compassion, are evolved states of being. They require the mental capacity to move beyond our most primal urges. Governor Pritzker, Pritzker. Parenthetically, I think if this were true, in fact, we'd still be huddling around a rock in the Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania. We survived as a species, in fact, because our curiosity overwhelmed our fear. Not courage, that'd be bragging, which is a tendency, just we always fancied what was beyond. Yeah, what I'm pondering is that the conclusion that one comes to, having rejected all the strictures and the normal moralities, as something that's passed down to me from patriarchy somewhere. What I find that fills the void, if there is a void, if there ever was one, is by no means evil. So that's the end of that theory, really. I saw the governor say this on YouTube. He seemed a very happy, helpful man, and he makes the case that we are, it sounds to me conventional, usual, but he says it articulately, we are naturally this fearful, judgmental thing. We're born that way. He reiterates that what we already know, gives an explanation we have already been given for our natural strifes, that we are naturally bad, mistrustful, sullen, fearful, intolerant, i.e. judgmental. But with application and maybe prayer and education, we can rise above that self. I heard him, I nodded my head, I loved how he said what he said, but I disagree. Or I find it not so with me. As I experienced childhood, I was surrounded by insistent, fearful elders saying, do not talk to strangers. And I guess that's it in a nutshell, isn't it? Do not talk to strangers, do not talk to strangeness, do not look at, do not engage with. My unschooled boy was curious, minimally fearful, suspicious, and judgmental. Maybe the governor was fearfully inclined. He didn't look like it. He looked comfortable with strangers. So then he is doing what many people of power do. Power and taste and education and elegance. They have imagined other people, most people, the voters, them, the masses, feel fearful and judgmental at heart. So they are susceptible to Donald Trump. Matt Kennard, another of the younger radicals out there in podcast land who's really good, said Hitler was charismatic. Was he? To Matt? He may be right, but is he talking about himself? He didn't say that. He didn't say, I find Hitler charismatic. If he was in the room with Adolf, would he have sat at his knee while he ranted, grown the silly moustache and saluted so definitively? I'd say Hitler was charismatic to people with lots of rage in themselves, projecting outwards, which the intellectuals assume is the masses, the what do they call them, populists. They're all filled with anger. And so to them, a Hitler becomes charismatic. Of course, denying that they themselves have this. I think this is what people see in Trump, maybe not all. We assume his supporters are angry people. We, you see, we who are free of such psychosis. Until he gets elected. As a tangent, I remember the inauguration in 2021. It was a cold night, and Biden and Harris came out onto the dais, I think they call it, and they were smiling. And they both really have glorious smiles. Cannot take that away from them. And I felt this rush of relief after 4 years of scowl. And a really big feeling, really warm. They were out there a long time, very close, maybe. I think they were arm in arm, a long time, because the fireworks went on and on and on and on and on like a sign. I imagine still that Joe turned around to the camera, grinning as if to say, are these fireworks nearly done? It sounds like a war. Huh. And then what followed? I used to think this type of persona, this angry one, was male. I think it is still. It makes for mean, moody, and magnificent. It fills the cinema screens with vengeful men, the wronged man avenging his wrongs, the taxi driver with a cause. I can see that. For me, I think it was Rebel Without a Cause, the movie. But you see, he very definitely had a cause. He was instinctively good. He hadn't grown up enough to be mean, fearful, or judgmental. Yeah, it's a very good film. James Dean, amazing. What a culture. So my conclusion is simple and simplistic. I think it's a bit more complicated, the jingoist will say. We have invented culture that trains us to be fearful and judgmental, and that it is as useless and toxic as it ever was. If your religion tells you who to hate because they don't act, look, pray, love, sound like you, abandon it. All ye who enter here